And we're live. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Super Saturday movie night. I hope you brought snacks. Tonight we're going to be watching Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo from 1958, starring Jimmy Stewart and Kim Novak. Kim Novak was quite a beauty back in her day. But first we're just going to hang out a bit until we get some more people in the chat. I hope you're having a good Saturday. Hope you're having a great holiday weekend. The link for this video is, the link for this movie rather, is in the description of this video. And what I do is I just hang out and comment on it while you watch it on another screen and I watch it on another screen. And I just kind of talk about movies. As for you, you can either watch the movie along with me or you can just hang out and listen to me ramble on about Alfred Hitchcock and the movies I like. Alfred Hitchcock is one of my favorite directors, also including Quentin Tarantino and Guillermo del Toro, Christopher Nolan, Stanley Kubrick. So many. I love movies. I love old movies. There aren't that many modern movies I've seen or I appreciate. The last time I was in the movie theater was for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Just not really interested in seeing modern movies. They're too much of a spectacle, and they're too, what's the word? They're too watered down. I really don't think we're in the golden age of cinema anymore. I think we're in the golden age of television and streaming services. We're also in the golden age of video games. So cinema, to my mind, is a dying art. It's not dead. It'll never die. I mean, they still make radio programs, but it's certainly not as creative as the movie we're going to watch tonight, which, if you just tuned in, is available for free in the link to this video, in the description of this video. Sorry, I meant to say. Vertigo is my all-time favorite Hitchcock movie. I have many favorite Hitchcock movies. I've seen all of them, and I have a great affection for the director. Most people's favorite Hitchcock movie is Psycho, and I do like Psycho, but my favorite is Vertigo. Vertigo, Rear Window, North by Northwest, To Catch a Thief, the Cary Grant era. Cary Grant is a perfect human being in my mind. So suave, so debonair, so well dressed. Him and Bogart are who I based my personality and masculinity on, and Bruce Lee. Can't forget Bruce Lee. I wore my Bruce Lee T-shirt in honor, or just because I don't really have any movie T-shirts. Micah, greetings, friend. Hello, how are you doing today? I'm doing very well. Thank you for showing up to movie night. Appreciate it. Happy to have you here. You're in for a treat. I hope you have it queued up on a second window. I like watching Red Dead Redemption 2 in black and white. I just made this out of old footage so I can have something on in the background. I don't want to go full screen because this camera is potato. I'm just using the computer webcam. It's awful. And I look awful full screen. So at some point we'll upgrade to a decent camera and get actual lights so we can do this full screen for movie night. Tomorrow night we shall be taking Jamie to Blackwater. Jamie, as you may recall, is Mary Linton's little brother. And we shall go on a tour of Blackwater, but that's just for the Sunday hangout, where we just... Micah, did you do your workout today? I just did some jump ropes before the stream. Didn't really have time. I was working on Christmas decorations. I suppose I did have time, but I didn't work out. I just did jump ropes and the walks with Sadie. I miss it though when I don't work out. It's like the live streams. I miss talking to you guys. I miss doing my push-ups. Maybe I'll do some before after the live stream. I'm always kind of hyped up from talking to all you people. We'll just hang out a bit more while the chat files in. Tonight we're watching Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock, and it is available in the video link description below. Rear Window is also available on the Birds for free, but judging from the chat response, I don't think Alfred Hitchcock is going to be a fan favorite, which is too bad, and regrettably it's your loss, because this movie is far better than anything that's come out in the past 10 years. And I'm stubborn. I'm just going to keep showing you the movies that I want to watch, that I think you should see. Micah, I went to the gym today, did a shoulder workout. Yeah, get those shoulders to pop, work on the V shape. That's always helpful. You need strength training to change your body shape. If you just do cardio and diet, you'll get skinny, but you'll be the same shape you were when you were bigger. You'll just be thinner. But to get the V shape, you need to work on your shoulders and your back. Dog, greetings, friend. What's up, Superantonio? What's up, Micah? Had a sensational day. Well, I'm glad luck was a lady for you, and I'm really happy you're here. You're in for a treat. Vertigo is one of my favorite movies of all time. Also, I had an idea of how we could do a commentary on the good, the bad, and the ugly, which everyone seems to want. And I could just play my copy of it and do this commentary, and then you guys can play your copy of it. And if you don't have a copy of it, you can just listen, I guess. I might do a poll to see how people would react to that. And if it's, yeah, if it's possible, I mean, if it gets enough response, then yeah, we can absolutely do it. And Odog says, Super Antonio, don't stress it. Work it both ways. Sometimes throw your audience a bone and then let them vote on a movie every now and then. I'm about to try to view some of it on tablet. Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying. That's how I think we can see the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's how we can see all of Clint Eastwood's movies. If you just watch your copies while I watch my copies. But I do want to, I want these live streams to share more of my personality and the things I like, including my favorite movies. I believe this was Christmas footage. And Odog says, remember, you can't make everyone happy. That is very true. I don't even usually try. Micah says, I keep forgetting vertigo is also an illness. Yes, the lead character in this movie suffers from it. But it's a movie about obsession and duality. And I guess there's enough people here that we should start it up. I've got it open already. It's queued up. Get the Universal logo. Alfred Hitchcock was famous for his cameos. And his cameo will come around 11 minutes. The movie is not in black and white. It's in VistaVision. We're at 39 seconds in. I love the soundtrack by by Bernard Herrmann, which we're listening to now. It's exquisite. He also did the soundtrack for Psycho, the re. Yeah, that's him. But he did all. He's Hitchcock's favorite orchestrator, Kim Novak, and we're focusing on the eye in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. See, now note how it just turns from black and white to color, but it's red. And here's your Vertigo, and we're going to get the iconic trailer or credits by Saul Bass. This spirograph thing. It's kind of sad that everyone in this cast has passed away. Barbara Bel Geddes, she plays Midge. And then it's based upon the novel D'entre les Morts Between Two Deaths by Pierre Boileau and Thomas Narcoljac. Pierre Boileau, you may or may not know, was the writer of Planet of the Apes. And yes, Planet of the Apes was a book before it was a movie. Micah says, Red Dead Redemption 2 likes an old Western movie. Yes, it does. However, I like many things other than old Westerns. And Saturday, I just want to share. I want to expand the channel. I want to bring in new viewers, and I want more people. I want to bring more people to this game. And also, again, I want to share with you more about my life and my personality and the things that I like. For example, this movie and these beautiful screen credits. It's just animation that, if you see in a 30-foot screen, will perhaps inspire vertigo in the viewer. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock. So we start with Jimmy Stewart. We are at 328. He's climbing up on a roof. And this is a bad guy. Here comes a cop, and then here comes the detective, Scotty. What's his name? Scotty Ferguson. And this movie is also a love letter to San Francisco, which used to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And Scotty doesn't have vertigo yet, but it's coming. Here we go. He looks down. This is called a dolly zoom shot. Hitchcock invented that. Tim Burton uses it a lot. That's what causes him to snap. Also the guilt that's coming up here from this flatfoot trying to save him. So the police officer falls to his death, and that freaks out Scotty. He can't go on anymore. And he will ultimately have to retire from the force. Micah asks, are there any Christmas movies that are free to watch on YouTube? I was doing some research. I didn't really see any. We'll either watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure or we shall watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Here's Barbara Bel Geddes as Midge. I love her studio. She has a crush on Jimmy Stewart, on Scotty, and Scotty is clueless. Look at this beautiful brown suit and his tie with the tie clip. Note the tie clip. They dressed so well in 1958. And Leroy, greetings, friend. Hey guys, I'm finally here. We're watching Vertigo. As you know, I am at 5:55. I like her artistic clutter. And she was an advertising illustrator, another dying art that was taken over by photography. So technically she's a commercial artist. And now Scotty is going to show his fear of heights. He can't even Yeah, his real name is John Ferguson. Mitch calls him Johnny, but because she's known him for so long. But everyone else calls him Scotty, and he thinks of himself as a Scotty. Did you note the vinyl record on the bookshelf? And look at all her beautiful paintings. In kind of that 50s mid-century abstract. Speaking of abstract, there's going to be a dream sequence that there's an urban legend that Salvador Dali consulted on it. Though it may or may not be true. And then Hitchcock, as a director, was super flirty. If we're talking about this brassiere at 7:42. He loved winking at the audience. And he inserted these allusions to premarital sex and casual sex that are normal today, but were quite scandalous in 1958. Love that chaise lounge. How's your love life, Midge? Yeah, and then they mentioned that Scotty mentions they were engaged once, just to show the history and their intimacy. Not necessarily a romantic intimacy, even though there is still some feeling on Midge's part, but just implies that they know each other really well. And Midge knew Scotty before he started suffering from vertigo. Also, there's a movie from the 80s called Dressed to Kill, which is based or rather loosely inspired by this movie. It's by Brian De Palma. And Dressed to Kill is good. You might even argue that it's a classic, but it's not Vertigo. Jimmy Stewart is such a likable and charismatic actor, and he brings that likability to this role, but he's not very likable. It's, I think, another clever trick that Alfred Hitchcock did. See, he can't even stand on the stool. That's how bad his vertigo is. But as the movie progresses, you will see that he's not really the hero of this movie. There isn't really a hero. Well, actually, I'll tell you who the hero is later. See, one more step. But the problem is, I believe, as I recall, he looks out the window. He looks down and out the window, and then it all comes crashing back to him. We are at 10:59. I look up, I look down. There, see, he looked out the window, and that brought it all back. And he faints dramatically, but Midge catches him. Midge was always there. Here comes Hitchcock, carrying the trombone case. He said in an interview with Francois Truffaut that he would try to get his cameo out earlier in the film because it started detracting from the plot because audience members were just looking for him. Now Scotty is meeting his old wartime war buddy Gavin, who is now a shipping mogul with a beautiful wood-paneled office. Note, he says he married into the shipping business. So he married an heiress, like Uncle wanted to. Again, it's Hitchcock manipulating the audience, manipulating you, because or Jimmy Stewart rather, is a very likable guy. So the audience is naturally on his side. He is going to be put through the ringer in this movie. Hodog says, "What's up, Leroy?" Leroy, I'm glad you're here. Greetings, friends. Note the tie clip and the pocket square. I really like the formality, that the way men dressed in the 50s. Pretty much until 1968, when the hippie culture took over. 1968 is an arbitrary date, but you know what I mean. When men just started like wearing their hair longer and wearing t-shirts and going around barefoot. So I don't think Scotty is an official private detective. He just has police experience, and Gavin wants to hire him to basically follow his wife, who, I need to mention again, is the heiress. Note all the shipping artwork. That's a little on the nose, but you know, with movies you have to tell a shorthand. And Hitchcock was really good at using just the set design and to visualize and define characters and tell the audience what was going on. He was a master of using visual clues, not just for the plot, but just to explain personality and social status and mood and atmosphere. See, here's a giant shipping model. And Gavin is saying, "My wife's kind of crazy. She has hysteria. She fades. I call to her. She doesn't even hear me. Then, with a long sigh, she's back." So Gavin's worried about her. I suppose this movie counts as a film noir. There's a certain aspect of destiny and fate involved. That's part of what I enjoy about this movie, is there's a symmetry here that you see as we go on this journey. If we can like avoid these ads, but these ads are why we can watch these movies. Skipped another ad. We are at 1606. See, Gavin wants to know what's up. He's checking the speedometer on her car. Leo Friedman, greetings, friend. Welcome. We were watching Vertigo tonight. It's movie night. I am at 1638. The link to this video is in the description of this video, or rather the link to this movie. Okay, we're going to the bar, Ernie's. Note the red velvet wallpaper. Note that this is a red bar. Just red curtains, red carpeting, red flowers, red ceiling, red everywhere. The upholstery on the chairs is red. And Madeline, Kim Novak, is in emerald green. Note how she's in the center of the screen and the camera just slowly focuses in. Also note that the camera's on a dolly, and as the camera moves forward, they've got to move all these people out of the way. And they're just kind of doing that subtly behind the scenes. Scotty's watching from the bar. And this is where the obsession starts. Because Kim Novak is, look at her. She's quite the beauty. Just platinum blonde, classic Hitchcock blonde. Note the emerald necklace. Beautiful profile. She turns to the camera. Jimmy turns away. Scotty turns away. Then note her hairstyle. That's signature. And this is Madeline. Her name is Madeline Elster. Then Jimmy Stewart, next day, is following her in his classic Bel Air coupe. Should know these cars. I should have done research on the cars, but I didn't. Note the newspaper, no cell phones. Madeline has a Jaguar, again in emerald green. I think that's a Jaguar. Might be a Mercedes. And then we're going to drive through mid-century San Francisco. Just look at all the beautiful cars and the architecture. We are at 1930. Where are they going? Where is she going? I'll tell you. I love the architecture and just the cityscapes. That diner scene. It's just, talk about a time past, a bygone era. Hodog says, I'm always checking out the classics when watching TV. Takes my old butt back, LOL. Yeah, I'm fascinated. So we go in this alley, and Scotty is suspicious because he is a cop after all. And he checks in. Madeline went in a back exit. It's amazing that you could do this in 1958. Perhaps she is having some clandestine meeting. Also note, Scotty is wearing a brown fedora that perfectly matches his brown suit. Back then, men would match their hats to their suits. Classic. But no, Madeline's just buying some flowers. Also note, Madeline's gray suit. It's gorgeous. It's by a designer called Edith Head. She was, she's a Hollywood icon. Then note the green tint again. There's a lot of, Alfred Hitchcock's uses of color in this movie is another one of his shorthands. Yes, she has to buy some flowers. A very specific bouquet. And you'll see why in a minute. That car is a gorgeous shade of green. Quentin Tarantino is very fond of these driving shots where you project the city in the background and you just film it in a studio. Now we are going to Mission Dolores in San Francisco. It really is a love letter to San Francisco. And Scotty has to follow. What is she doing? Why is she going here? And she's going to visit a grave. It's wonderful how the mystery unfolds, because the audience is just as captivated by Kim Novak as Madeline as Scotty is. Perfectly cast. And Madeline's visiting a grave. Whose grave? Brown suit, red striped tie, white shirt, collar pin, tie pin, matching fedora, no pocket square. Maybe a pocket square would just be over the line for Scotty. He was a cop after all. A little too much. We have a commercial. Also, I believe the formality of wearing suits and hats was came from World War II. Everyone was in the war. Everyone was a veteran. Everyone was just used to wearing uniforms. And this very just iconic male uniform developed, or in men's fashion after the war. And that's how you went out. You weren't fully dressed without a jacket and a hat and a tie. It'd be unthinkable just to wear a t-shirt and jeans, unless you were working in the yard and weren't expecting visitors. We are at 2440. Scotty's tailing Madeline in the graveyard. Now Scotty needs to see what grave she was visiting. It's Carlotta Valdez, who died in 1857. It's a clue. Carlotta. Who was Carlotta? All will be explained, don't worry. Going to the art museum now. Alfred Hitchcock is a very patient storyteller, and you just have to trust him. You have to. He's going to take you on a journey, and he is a master storyteller in a way that doesn't exist anymore. I love this soundtrack. Bernard Herrmann. Bernard Herrmann is to Alfred Hitchcock what Danny Elfman was to Tim Burton. And coincidentally, okay, note the flowers, and note the flowers. We are at 2637. Okay, look at that swirl in Madeline's hair. And we get the signature swirl in Carlotta's hair. Also, the portrait kind of looks like her. It could be her. So now we see that Madeline is obsessed with this woman who died in 1857 named Carlotta. Perhaps she thinks she was reincarnated. She's the reincarnation of Carlotta. Now he follows her some more. Something fun's coming up, O-Dog. Well, actually, not here. But something fun will come up. I know it's a very moody, atmospheric film. It's not what you're used to. There's no explosions in it. There's no fight scenes. It's just style and elegance and a wonderful story that is a lot darker. It's going to get a lot dark. It's going to get dark. Look at that gorgeous boarding house from, I'd say, around 1890, Gold Rush. McKittrick Hotel. I hope it's still there. I don't know. Madeline has rented a room. This lady is funny in here. 2918. Look at the tiled ceiling. Reminds me of Angelo Bronte's mansion. Scotty still has his old ID. Valdez. So she registered under the name Carlotta Valdez. And ironically, this will be revealed later, but Carlotta Valdez lived in this house before it was a hotel. Tiffany lamp on the left side. Look at all that polished and hand-carved wood in the staircase. They don't make houses like that anymore, regrettably. This is an iconic shot. Hitchcock liked staircases. You see this a lot. He used that a lot in Psycho. Mr. Detective, and then the transition, the staircase. Again, it's a shorthand as Scotty goes deeper and deeper into the mystery. Scotty and the audience, as in you and us, you and me. We were watching. I just got a commercial. Got a Netflix commercial because they think we like movies. And we do. We are at 32 minutes exactly. Odog says, and an iconic shot of San Francisco. Yes, this movie is a love story, a love letter to San Francisco. Scotty's back with Midge, so he can bounce some ideas off her. I like their relationship. They're just kind of flirty banter. Midge represents stability and domesticity, which is not what Scotty wants. She's the good girl, and Scotty wants a bad girl. Juicy stories like who shot who in the Embarcadero. So they got to go see Pop Libel at the Argosy bookstore. I mean, when we see this bookstore, I believe it's an actual bookstore. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But it looks real. And I would have loved to have visited it. I love old books. I love old bookstores. Hi, Serena. Welcome. Everybody say hi to Serena. We're having a movie night. We are watching Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock. The link is in this video description. You can put it up on another screen, and I'm at 34 minutes and 21 seconds. The sad Carlotta. See, Pop knew. That was Carlotta's house. Smoking wasn't a big deal in the 1958. Serena says hello, everyone, and Odog says, howdy, Serena. Hope you're well. Serena, I also wanted to mention, if your PS4 is still heating up, that you should buy a vertical stand, so store it like this instead of horizontally, and that will allow more airflow around it. But I hope your PS4 is not overheating now. And you can find vertical stands on Amazon. Just search PS4 vertical stand. Some of them come with fans. And there was a child. So Madeline, if she's not the reincarnation, thinks that she might be the child, or rather the descendant of Carlotta. Serena says, hi, Odog, getting better, thank you. Heart emoticon. You can always rely on Serena for heart emoticons. Serena, I wish you were here on a more popular live stream, but we're having fun. I'm having fun. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I hope you hang out. The Mad Carlotta. Of course she went mad. Look how consistently everyone, all the extras are just dressed immaculately. Also note Midge is wearing gloves. Ladies wore gloves in 1958. Also, note Mitch's apartment has a beautiful view of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I cannot imagine how much rent would cost to have that view these days. Serena says, I'd be watching this again. Okay, I hope you do. We are at 37 and 53 seconds. It's an old movie. It's 1958, but it's worth watching. It's far better than anything that is available these days. Now to reinforce the association of Carlotta and Madeline. And he gives a report to Gavin at Gavin's club. No, they're probably drinking scotch on the rocks. Also note the wood paneling and the architecture, all those columns. Talking about the hairstyle. And she has several pieces of jewelry that belongs to Carlotta. The plot's just unfolding for you guys, but I really wish I could just spoil it for you and tell you the layers and layers of irony and sinister activities that are going on right now. But Scotty is hooked. Pocket square. Gavin does like his pocket squares. I will tell you this, Gavin is not a friend. So Gavin says that Madeline is actually the descendant of Carlotta. Odog says, I love San Francisco. You and David, Odog. Serena, SF is San Francisco, where this movie was filmed. San Francisco, California. It's, if you don't know that city, it used to be one of the most beautiful cities in the United States. Another iconic shot of the Golden Gate Bridge. Scotty's following her again. Where could she be going? Okay, Odog, pay attention. Something interesting is going to happen. Something you'll like. Not this part. This is just the setup. So we're going to a nice ocean view of the bridge. Note the white walls on Scotty's car. And the way that Alfred Hitchcock set up this shot is, which is one, gorgeous, but it is reminiscent of the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. And Madeline's going out in the water. Scotty has to follow. Love that scene where she's just kind of tearing off flower petals and tossing them in the ocean. Wearing gloves. Note. And Scotty's wearing a gray suit with a blue tie and a blue hat. And she jumps in. So Scotty has to save her. Here we go. Okay. He saves her. Now what? This is an odd way to be introduced to the woman you're obsessed with. He's not technically stalking her because he was hired by the husband. Kim Novak, again, probably weighs 105, 110. Look at those eyebrows. So why not take her back to my place and start a warm fire? Okay, O-Dog, here comes your scene. And this is the first time we get to see Scotty's apartment, which is a bachelor pad. Okay, note, all of Madeline's clothes are drying in the kitchen, which means, how did she get out of those clothes? It's just Alfred Hitchcock winking at you again. Everything is implied. There's no, I mean, all the sexuality and is just implied. There's a beauty and a subtlety to that there. She turns around, get a little bit of bareback, and that's all. And then the implication, and then she'll look down and it's like she knows she's nude. He knows she's nude. The audience knows she's nude. But they're not showing anything. They're just, it's just titillation. And I just love that. I love the, we are at 45:20. I love the implication and the subtlety of it that you don't get anymore. Also note there's no swearing in this movie. Serena says, getting better, Antonio. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, friend. And here she comes wearing Scotty's dressing gown. Another visual shorthand. Barefoot. Who are you? You followed me. Serena says, my uncle cleaned it, your PS4. It's fine now, for now. That's good news. Uncles are good at doing things like that. Well, technically you jumped into San Francisco Bay. See, she blanks out. She blacks out, and or at least she says she does. Why am I in the shadows? What happened to my light? It's because I'm sitting too far back. Sorry. I apologize. But I just want you to listen to me. I don't necessarily need you talking to or seeing me, I guess. Her memory fades in and out. Or does it? And this scene just builds Scotty's obsession for Madeline. He knows she's married. He doesn't care. He wants to rescue her. He wants to help her. He wants to fix her, cure her. Serena says, yes, because I missed the beginning. Have to watch. I always watch your videos, even if I'm not on Premiere. Really appreciate you being here, Serena. I'm happy you're here. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. We are at 48 minutes and 30 seconds. Coit Tower in the background of Scotty's apartment. That might be a set, that might be a background, I'm not sure. I read somewhere that Coit Tower is actually a giant fire hose nozzle, but don't quote me on that. It's lit beautifully. Odog says, understand his plight. She's gorgeous. I'm glad you saw that scene, Odog. Just the implications of what happened before that scene is what Alfred Hitchcock loved. He just loved teasing the audience, titillating them. It's interesting, he lies to her and says that he just casually came upon her and rescued her. So he's not he's not saying that your husband hired me. He's pretending he doesn't know her so that he can start a relationship with her, or just the implications of it, you may interpret this as he's still undercover. He's just made contact with the person he's surveilling. Or you can just see that he wants to have a relationship with her, of course. I mean, it's Kim Novak, and he's beginning to become obsessed with her. And that's what I meant when I said earlier how Jimmy Stewart, the actor, is a very charming and charismatic person, and that carries over into this character. But Scotty, the character, is not a nice man. And of course you sympathize with him, and you're supposed to, but it's just perfect casting. Hitchcock was great at perfect casting, but I do believe my favorite Hitchcock male actor is is Cary Grant. Cary Grant to me was the perfect Hitchcock lead, but there's an aloofness to Cary Grant because he's so handsome that you don't get with Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart is an everyman. Every man can see themselves as Jimmy Stewart. It's a little harder with Cary Grant because he's so aristocratic. And that's another aspect is that what man wouldn't fall in love with Madeline? Madeline takes off. Gavin points out that Madeline is 26 and Carlotta committed suicide at 26. She got dressed fast. And Midge just is doing a drive-by, and poor Midge at 52:49. Star Hearts. Serena says, you're talking about Gavin in the game, LOL. Yeah, Madeline. Gavin went crazy after this movie and transported back to 1899. Serena says, is Alfred Hitchcock the one that made the movie The Birds? I love that movie. Yes, he did. And Odog says, reminds me of L.A. Noire. Beautiful scenery and cars. You're right, Odog. We should have had some L.A. Noire gameplay in the background. That would have been perfect. And Scotty's following again. It's the next day. Exact same time period as L.A. Noire. And I believe, well, L.A. Noire is set in L.A. And we're in San Francisco now. Those winding San Francisco streets. And look at all these gorgeous vintage cars that were not vintage at the time. At 54 minutes and 22 seconds. She keeps making lefts. Now she made a right. And the mood is just implied by the intensity of the soundtrack. That perfect Saul Bass soundtrack. And she arrives back at Scotty's apartment. Note she's all in white. She's in black and white. Odak says, you should get one Super Antonio, get a vintage car or L.A. Noire. I have L.A. Noire. So Scotty followed her back to his own apartment. Note the coloring, the lime green, and how it just like accents her black and white outfit, her black dress, black gloves, white coat, blonde hair, black bag. Odog, car, I love mine, I'm working on. What kind of car do you have, Odog? Commercial. She was leaving a note. Look how she leans casually on that railing. Just note the body language. ODOG has a 1975 Chevrolet Monte Carlo Landau. Not familiar with that car, but I'm sure if you have it, it's pretty cool. Mr. Oreo Teddy, this is PS4. Yes, this is PS4 gameplay, but we are doing a movie night. We were watching Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock in 1958, and the link to that movie is in this video description. You can watch it free on YouTube if you want. We are at 57 minutes and 41 seconds. About halfway through. On Saturdays, we watch movies. And I do a live commentary. And now, Scotty has moved into the passenger seat. He's no longer following her. He's a participant in her madness, in her obsession. Because he's a little mad and obsessed. We get to see these magnificent redwood trees. Where George Lucas is going to film Endor in 20 years. George Lucas, not my favorite director. A nice franchise. I like the franchise, of course, but he's a little on the nose as far as directors go. Madeline is obsessed with death. And Scotty, of course, wants to save her. Mr. Oreo Teddy, you rock. Thanks, friend, you rock. Really appreciate you being here. Not really talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 tonight. Odog says, I think some of Mandalorian was shot there. That would make sense as a callback to Endor. But I watched like half of the first season. I didn't exactly lose interest. There was just so much other things I wanted to watch at the time. Madeline's going to have one of her episodes. And at this point, Scotty has fallen in love with Madeline. Even if he doesn't realize it, he has. And again, who could blame him? There's so much I could tell you about this movie. So much I want to tell you that, but I can't because I don't want to release it to you. Odog, the episode where Mando meets Cara Dune. I did like Cara Dune. I do like that actress. I haven't forgiven Disney for firing her. Mr. Oreo Teddy. You played that ninja game, Ghost something, Ghost of Tsushima? Yes, I have. Gina Carano, yes. She's a cutie. A cutie who could kick your ass. I want to see that Western that she made. I forget. Terror on the Prairie, I believe it's called. Also note that Alfred Hitchcock was from England. He was raised in England, and so these landscapes are just foreign and iconic to him. That twisted tree. He loved America as only a new immigrant can. See, I'm responsible for you now. Scotty's just trying to justify his obsession at 10302. These iconic outfits that Kim Novak is wearing as Madeline, the white coat and the black dress, just simply gorgeous. Whereas Scotty is more subdued in a plain brown suit with a red tie. They're implying just the differences in class. You know, Madeline is an heiress. She's aristocratic. Scotty is working class. He's an ex-cop. Serena says, and my driving to background LA Noir, LOL. I loved your driving videos in LA Noir. You should make more of those. But with commentary now, because those are always funny. And Scotty is he's trying to get to like the heart or the depth of the mystery. Because he's trying to fix her, trying to cure her. Odog, note we are 1 hour in with a healthy stream and no, knock on wood, crashing. I think I figured that out. And they kiss at 105:19 with the crashing surf in the background. The crashing surf that is indicative of both Scotty's and Madeline's emotional states. Meanwhile, back at Midge's painting. That's Midge's casual outfit. Gorgeous high heels, blue skirt, red sweater dress. Midge is a healthy girl. Odog says, good. Yeah. Regrettably, that's about all you get in this movie. Well, actually, later on, Arthur really wants to shoot those copper frying pans. at 106. She's gonna pour him a drink. Midge wanted to see him. Scotch on the rocks. Classic mid-century drink. Note the ashtray. I love the details in these old movies that were just set dressing and contemporary at the time. And now they're just also the Bakelite phone. It's a world gone by that will never return. Also note, all these products that you're looking at here were made in America. Then Midge painted herself as Carlotta. I'm amazed she whipped that painting out so fast, and Scotty is not having it. He's not happy. Midge took her shot. But from a plot perspective, it's like she's trying to pull him back. She's trying to get him, and if she succeeded, there'd be no movie. Because this is a Hitchcock movie, and something bad's going to happen. Something bad is happening right now, but you think it's just a movie about obsession and falling in love with a crazy girl. And there's so much more going on. There's levels and levels. It's one of the reasons why I love this movie. And regrettably, we can't talk about it because you haven't seen it before. And I envy you that, because once you know what happens, this movie just blows your mind. Scotty was up all night. You know who he was thinking about. And she's back. And she's back. I think at this point there's the implication that, you know, it's a mutual attraction, if not, you know, there's an implication that that things are happening. Romantic things. Naked things. But they're not going to show it. Again, it's 1958. There's no reason to show it. It's more fun to just imply it and let the mind wander. But again, Alfred Hitchcock did this because the censors were so strict. And this was his way of getting around the censorship. The censorship was, you had to be more creative. You had to be clever. And movies aren't clever anymore. They're not creative. And again, Scotty's trying to cure Madeline by just bringing her back to reality. And then it's implied they'll run away together. That's what he wants to do. San Juan Bautista. That's a mission she's been thinking about. Look at the tears in Kim Novak's eyes. Great acting, great performance. Ironically, I do believe Kim Novak was in Planet of the Apes. Let's look her up. She's still alive. She's 90. More power to her. Very happy for her. Filmography. No, she wasn't in Planet of the Apes. Never mind. Her last movie was in 1991. So she's been retired for a long time, but she's still alive. That's great. Okay, note, Madeline is back in her signature gray suit, looking aloof. Scotty's going to take her to that mission to prove to her that she is not mad. Mission San Juan Bautista. This mission exists. However, they matte printed a tower onto it, a bell tower. I will show you. It's pretty obvious from 21st century standpoint, but I guess it worked back then. We are at 113. Scotty's trying to convince Madeline that she's been here before and it's all in her brain, and if she just recreates the moment, she will be somehow cured. Also note that Scotty is trying to cure his own vertigo and his own sense of guilt and loss by fixing Madeline. Don't forget, the movie's called Vertigo, and it refers to Scotty's problem, not Madeline's problem. And Madeline's going a little crazy at this point. And Scotty's trying to convince her that she's been here before. And she's just remembering her life. There's an answer for everything. There's your kiss, O-Dog, at 114. And note, Scotty says, "I love you," and she returns it, "I love you too." That's the hook. And he he follows her. She's going to run up that bell tower. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. Remember that line. Remember that. In 10 minutes, we will return to that line. You believe I love you, yes. And if you lose me, you'll know I loved you. And Jimmy Stewart says, or Scotty says, I won't lose you. Guess what? Okay, they're climbing that tower. She's going to climb that tower. We're going to get another reverse dolly shot. I love that. She runs in, just the white and the gray. He follows. This mission exists. The bell tower does not exist. This is a set. And for now, for a bit at least, his love for Madeline overcomes his vertigo. There's the reverse dolly shot. Signature Hitchcock movie. And he's going to keep going until he can't anymore. There. He's paralyzed by fear, and Madeline throws herself off the bell tower. And Scotty completely freaks out because he could not save her. We are at 1:17:22. It's a Hitchcock movie, so you know there's going to be death at some point. But it took an hour to get there. That's how, but so much has happened that you don't even know about. You have no idea. It's like, you just think it was a slow story about falling in love with a girl that you're supposed to be following because you're a private detective, but there's so much more happening. I'm glad we got to this point. I appreciate you being here. We are at 1:18:09. Time for the inquest. This is an awkward scene, awkward for Scotty, and awkward for us as the audience, because we're sympathetic towards Jimmy Stewart, and while we understand his vertigo, the judge in this case does not. Also note that all these men are veterans. It's from World War II. They have tested themselves in battle, and from their standards, Scotty has failed that test because he couldn't get up there to save her. It's kind of a summary of the case in the inquest. He's not going to get charged, but he's getting raked over by the judge. That great city to the north, that's San Francisco. It's a fun scene just because Scotty must feel so miserable, and it just makes it worse. But it's like when you know this character, when you know this man, you just kind of enjoy it. But right now, on a first viewing, it's awkward and hard to watch. He did not remain at the scene of the death. He left. He claims he suffered a mental blackout and knew nothing more. He blacked out until he found himself in his San Francisco apartment several hours later. He could not face the tragic result of his own weakness and ran away. Yeah, the judge hates him. And the jury's going to deliver a verdict of self-annihilation. You're not allowed to say that word on YouTube. Also note it's an all-male jury. While of unsound mind. Okay, note, Gavin's, the husband, is pretty upset. However, he inherited his wife's shipping company. And that sounds like a motive to me. Of course, we're focused, the audience is focused on Scotty's mental anguish and the fact that he was in love and he lost that love. Gavin checks out, the former captain. Gorgeous shot of them leaving the courthouse. Scotty visits Madeline's grave. Note the symmetry of how Madeline visited Carlotta's grave. Okay, now this dream sequence, the beautiful iconic soundtrack by Bernard Herrmann. This is the one that I was talking about that is rumored to have been designed by Salvador Dali, or he consulted on it, or maybe Alfred Hitchcock just talked to him about it. We don't know. It's not listed in the screen credits. But it's gorgeous, just the flashing red, the blood red. It's very surreal, and it's just a montage of what's happened so far. The open grave that Madeline mentioned. This part with just the spirals and the vertigo. And now Scotty falls. And he wakes up stark, raving mad. Well, not really, but he has a breakdown, and now he's in the hospital. And Midge visits, brought flowers. We are at 125:44. Scotty's pretty much unresponsive. interesting. In the 50s, mental illness was seen as a weakness of character, and again, watching it from a modern perspective, there's so much more sympathy for him that you wouldn't have had in 1958, especially for Jimmy Stewart. You would expect him to snap out of it and somehow be able to save Madeline. Hitchcock is just playing with the audience's sensibilities at the time. He had no idea what life in 2023 would be like, I'm sure. I love that old record player. And Scotty's pretty much unresponsive, regrettably. Midge is there for him. But he's too far gone. And then at 127:41, just note those beautiful green walls and just that iridescent shimmer on those walls. And that, my friends, is from lead paint. Lead paint just created beautiful colors that you don't get anymore. Micah says, I'm back again. Welcome, friend. We're at 128 if you're watching the movie. Midge has gloves. Ladies wore gloves in the 50s. Again, all of this fashion went out the window when the hippies took over. Yeah, Micah, Serena's here. Acute melancholia coupled with a guilt complex. That's a psychiatrist's. Oh, I love that hallway. I love that lime green diagnosis. Mitch says, I don't think Mozart's going to help at all. Scotty will get better. I mean, it's like the movie doesn't end here. We've got almost 30 more minutes, 40 minutes. So time passes. We get the, beautiful San Francisco landscape. Micah says, I hear Australia is pretty hot right now, Serena. It is indeed. It's on fire. Here's a shot of Madeline's old building. Madeline's car. Scotty's still obsessed. He sees a woman that seems to be dressed like her. He's going to run up because he's a little crazy right now. Told you this movie is about obsession. And it's not Madeline, of course. It's nowhere near her. But irony, those scenes from a distance, those were of Kim Novak. And then Alfred Hitchcock switched her out for this actress. Serena says, yes, very hot here. Supposed to be cooler on Wednesday. Well, I hope so. Scotty's just returning to every scene that he associates with Madeline. That red bar. With that gorgeous red velvet wallpaper. Sees another woman kind of dressed like her, Same hairstyle, not her. He's going a little crazy right now. And he returns to the museum so he can look at the picture of Carlotta. Now, note, he's obsessed. He's as obsessed with Carlotta and Madeline as Madeline was with Carlotta. Micah, did the hippie era really change fashion permanently? Yeah. Nobody's wearing suits and hats and ladies' gloves anymore. I mean, you can, ironically. $131. Okay, note. Scotty at 131 sees a woman on the street, all in green, emerald green. She's a redhead. But she has the same profile as Madeline. And spoiler alert, it's Kim Novak in a dual role. This woman's name is Judy. Scotty's gonna follow her obsession. He's obsessed. And he's gonna follow Judy all the way back to her apartment. And note the juxtaposition of where Judy lives, this basically a flea bag hotel, and the elegant, gorgeous apartment building where Madeline lived. There's a duality going on here that I really enjoy, that I really appreciate, that Hitchcock is trying to emphasize with you. Madeline was elegant and aristocratic and way out of Scotty's league. And Judy, coincidentally played by the same actress, is a common shop girl, perfectly aligned with Scotty. But she's also brassy and a redhead, and she's no Madeline. And Scotty knocks on her door at 1:33. What are you supposed to say at this point? You remind me of a dead lady that I was in love with, and I'm trying to cure myself by by helping you, I guess, by meeting you. We're at 134. And Scotty desperately just wants information because you remind me of somebody. He wants to get to know her. Like, Madeline's dead. Judy is alive. So why not meet Judy and see where this goes? Honestly, though, I do prefer Kim Novak as that classic Hitchcock blonde. Judy Barton is her name. The M. Spence, 89. Thank you for subscribing. Judy Barton from Salina, Kansas. not crazy, also not blonde, and not Madeline. We have some commercials now that we need to get through. And we shall return to the movie at 1:36 exactly. Note the Chinese fan that Judy has hung on her light fixtures just as a little piece of art, a little piece of brightness to customize her hotel room. Also, see how this shot is set up, where we are paying attention to Judy's reflection, and Judy's in front of him, and then the mirror's in front of both of them, and Scotty's looking into the mirror, talking into the mirror, because he's through the looking glass here, and also there's a duality, because Judy looks exactly like Madeline, except she's a brunette. So there's a mirror image going on here, and Scotty was talking to the mirror. And here are Judy's parents. Judy's just trying to prove that she's a real girl and that she's not who Scotty is thinking of. And Scotty's going to ask her out. Because why not? And again, note earlier how Scotty was trying to cure Madeline by recreating scenes from her past. And now Scotty is trying to cure himself by recreating scenes from his past with this new girl that reminds him of Madeline, coincidentally a dual role also played by Kim Novak. This movie is about duality and identity and symmetry. Serena says, Antonio, I have to go having family dinner. I'm glad I was able to get on here for a bit. I will watch it again later. Serena, I was really happy to have you here. I appreciate it. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm glad you got to see a little of it with me. And Judy's flashback, you can see what happened here. Judy was posing as Madeline. Gavin just killed Madeline. Judy was never, or rather Scotty was never following Madeline. He was following Judy, dressed as Madeline. That's the twist. Now Judy's going to take off because she's been blown. So, to sum up, Gavin, the husband, killed his wife for the family business. He set up Scotty to give himself a perfect alibi. Death by self-annihilation. And we don't even know what the real Madeline looked like. They just used, she dressed like Judy dressed, but Serena says, stay safe, everyone. Have an awesome day or night. You too, Serena. I really appreciate seeing you here. Thank you so much. So, Judy's writing a letter to Scotty. She's left-handed. I like that. I like left-handed girls. Little quirk of mine. Okay, note. There's kind of a trilogy going on here. Scotty is in love with Madeline, who is a ghost, who never existed. And Judy posing as Madeline, fell in love with Scotty. Recall how she said this wasn't supposed to happen earlier when she was setting him up. It was all a setup against Scotty. And she's, basically, she's an accessory to murder. I assume Gavin paid her a bunch of money, of course. But she had no idea that it was going to be taken this far. And she had no idea she was going to catch feelings, as the youth of today would say. And at this point, Judy makes the decision, 141, because she is in love with him as Judy, to see if she can make Scotty fall in love with her real hair and her real personality. But recall, as I said earlier, that this is a movie about obsession, about Scotty's obsession, and he's not obsessed with Judy. Note she still has the gray signature outfit. She kept it, Madeline's outfit, but she's going to wear something that Judy would wear, which is lilac. Color is so important in this movie. And Scotty takes her back to the same restaurant where he first saw Madeline. That's ironic. Sees a woman in a gray suit, white gloves, and Judy takes a look, knows exactly what Scotty's thinking, but can't say a single thing about it. The juxtaposition between Judy and Madeline is aristocratic and highborn, noble-born. And then Judy being brassy and a common shop girl. It's a magnificent performance by Kim Novak. Scotty takes her back home, wants to see her again. Serena said, "Stay safe, everyone. Have an awesome day or night." Thank you, Serena. Really appreciate you being here. Another commercial. That we can skip. We are at 1 hour and 44 minutes. Saying goodbye. It was kind of a successful date. Wants to see her again. Okay, note the green neon from the hotel sign is going to create a silhouette effect that Scotty's going to freak out about. Because he's so obsessed with Madeline there, see? She has the exact same profile, ironically. Scotty will figure it out, but not just yet. And Judy is bathed in that green neon glow. Again, very LA noir. And friends, appreciate you being here, but we have to pause at 1:45:26 because someone needs to go out on the balcony. So talk amongst yourselves, and I'll return in a minute or two so I can take care of the dog. Okay, and we're back. It's a Hitchcock movie, so you know there's going to be a murder. Hold on a minute. Had to turn off a light. We are at 1:45:43, walking in a beautiful San Francisco park that I don't know, but I should. It might be it might be near the museum where the portrait of Carlotta is. Note how Judy dresses completely differently than Madeline, certainly not as elegantly. She's in love with Scotty. Scotty is not. Scotty is attracted to her because she reminds him of Madeline. Now, Scotty gets an awkward idea as they're buying some flowers, and Scotty picks out a flower that would be more suitable for a blonde and not the flower that Judy wanted. And I have to tell you, I can't forget. He's gonna try to transform Judy into Madeline, and of course he can because they're both played by the same actress. So now he's looking for a gray suit like Madeline used to wear. He wants to buy her the suit, the iconic suit. And Judy's here just sitting here knowing exactly what he's doing and freaking out. It's pretty funny. You can see the emotions playing across her face. In this style of shopping where the models come out and model the clothes, I mean, I don't know if they do that anymore. They probably do it in like super high-end ateliers or shops, but this isn't like how people shop anymore. It's a bygone era. I really appreciate you guys who stuck around because this is the best part of the movie. Everything else is just a setup for basically the last 20 minutes. And there's the suit at 1:48:29. That's it. Scotty is like, we'll take this one. There's an inevitability, a destiny, a fate involved here, and Judy is realizing that she's destined to be remade as Madeline. Buying her some shoes. Judy's upset because she doesn't want to be Madeline. She wants to be Judy. But she loves Scotty, and she'll change herself for her man. But Scotty doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just following his obsession wherever it leads. And it's not going to lead anywhere good. I can tell you that right now at 1:49:51. And again, as I said earlier, Scotty believes he can cure his vertigo and his guilt if he recreates these elements from his past, and Judy is essential to that. He can exorcise the ghost of Carlotta and Madeline by recreating those scenes with Judy. But again, he's through the mirror, and Judy will become Madeline. And ironically, Judy was always Madeline all along. There was no Madeline. He fell in love with a ghost. He fell in love with a version of Judy. And Judy realizes that, but Scotty is enraptured with an idealized version of her that did not exist. But again, she's in love with Scotty, so she will make herself over again to be Madeline. It's so sad. It's so tragic. She agrees to it because she thinks he will love her as much as she loves him if she becomes Madeline again. And Scotty at this point is just thinks it's an extraordinary coincidence, and he just met a girl that reminds her of Madeline. Doesn't realize right now that it's Madeline. And now we're at the hair salon because he has to change the hair. And once she emerges, the transformation will be complete. Redoing the makeup, redoing the nails, redoing the hair, and then we're back at Judy's apartment. Note the neon green glow of the hotel sign. That's going to be important when she emerges. She's changing at this point at 1:53:02. We've got an iconic and very artistic scene coming up that ties in with the first first half of the movie. Also note that Scotty just looked down at the city streets at 153 and he did not experience vertigo. And don't forget that Scotty's a detective. And finally, his detective instincts are kicking in. And so is here Judy emerges, transformed into Madeline, blonde hair. She's not wearing it right. She did that deliberately. Scotty's gonna correct her. She's also not wearing gloves because she's trying to differentiate. This is Judy's version of Madeline rather than Gavin's version of Madeline. But Scotty wants the hair correct, pinned back. Judy completely defeated. Kim Novak does a great performance, returns to the bathroom to fix her hair, and here comes, she will emerge bathed in that green neon glow from the hotel sign. Here we go. We are at 1:55:15. Her transformation is complete, and Judy is also through the looking glass. You can see the emotions playing. There you go. You can see the emotions playing across Jimmy Stewart's face where he's figuring it out. And Judy's Madeline now. But Madeline is Judy. Madeline was always Judy. So on the one hand, it's not like Scotty lost anyone. He never really he lost the idea of Madeline, but the person playing her, he never lost. And now Scotty kisses Judy as Madeline, whereas before he was kissing Madeline as Judy. Also note that the lighting subtly shifts, and suddenly Scotty finds himself back at the mission where he last saw Madeline, where they declared their love for each other. And then the camera swirls around and they're back in Judy's apartment. It's a crazy movie. It's all about obsession and duality, and do you see what I mean by Scotty not being a good guy, even though he was set up? There's really, it's like I was saying earlier, if there's a hero to this movie, it's Judy. Judy's just an innocent who was lured into this elaborate deception and is now an accessory to murder, and she fell in love with the wrong guy. Kim Novak is going to do this classic turnaround that we are at 1:58:02. She's wearing a black dress, looking very elegant as Madeline. there. And this is the problem. She's got a piece of Carlotta's jewelry. And Scotty's, he's a detective. He's going to figure it out. What is she doing with a piece of Carlotta's jewelry? She doesn't know Madeline. How is this possible? The music is essential. I love the music. We are at 158. And finally, Scotty's detective instincts kick in, and he starts to figure it out. He's been set up. And he's wondering how much Judy knows about it. He's wondering if she was in on it from the start, and technically she was. Judy's performance as Madeline was intended to get Scotty to fall in love with her. And then Gavin was going to use the fact that he couldn't climb to the top of that bell tower to create the perfect alibi. And Scotty's like, let's go for a drive, because he needs to go back to the scene of the crime, as it were. They're heading back to the bell tower, to the mission. And Judy's like, uh-oh, what's happening? This isn't good. Where are we going? And here's a commercial. The inevitability of fate. The fact that you cannot commit a crime as serious and as heinous as murder and expect to get away with it. Though technically the husband does get away with it. He's not brought to justice. It isn't really about the crime. It's about the guy who was set up to create the alibi for the crime. I'm reminded of a Johnny Cash song, Sooner or Later God'll Cut You Down. Everyone's going to get cut down. So we're back at the mission at 2 hours and 42 seconds. Again, Scotty's got his pop psychology of recreating the scenes to get over his obsessions and his vertigo. Recall, the title of this movie is Vertigo, and he forces her out. I have to go back to the past once more, just once more, for the last time. And Judy, poor girl, at this point, thinks that if she does this, if she participates in Scotty's obsession and madness, she can cure him and he'll fall in love with her as Judy, and maybe she can go back to being a brunette or a redhead. At this point, Scotty's just trying to get Judy to admit or to find out how involved Judy was in this elaborate ruse. And he's going to force her up the steps. And then at this point, as they go into the tower, Scotty's going to realize that he's cured his vertigo. So there's that. Judy doesn't want to go up there, of course, because she witnessed the murder. She struggles, but she's fighting against her own fate. everything leads back to the scene of the crime, to the scene of the murder. It's beautiful. The symmetry of this movie is something I really appreciate, something I really enjoy. We are at 2 hours and 3 minutes. Judy is defeatedly going up the stairs as if towards the truth, and her own, you get another tracking dolly shot, reverse dolly shot, and she's going to face the truth, her final judgment. Jimmy Stewart, or Scotty, is following. He's conquering his vertigo because he's focused on the truth and figuring out what happened. And also he's got some kind of righteous indignation because, he was set up, completely manipulated. And at this point, I really think that Scotty believes in his mind that he can save both himself and Judy if they just recreate it, and if he's able to go to the top of the bell tower and save Judy/Madeline this time. So they all go up here, and Judy admits her involvement. You were the copy, you were the counterfeit. The real Madeline was already dead with a broken neck. Judy says she wanted to stop it. Scotty's figured it out. He made you over. The looks, the manner, and the words, and those beautiful phony trances. You were an apt pupil, a very apt pupil. I love just the denouement that, he's figuring it out. Judy is terrified, and Scotty is basically completely mad but exhilarated because he's finally figured out the truth. Which, if you ever watch this movie again, you can see in Judy's eyes as she is portraying Madeline at the start of the movie when they first meet. And Scotty made it to the top. And poor Judy is crying. But there's no turning back for the both of them. And Judy actually was Gavin's mistress. Scotty figured out. He's crushed. His heart is broken all over again. But he didn't count on Judy falling in love with him. And there's the implication, the promise that if they can somehow forgive each other, they can get through this. And spoiler alert, one final kiss. Judy gets frightened by a nun, and she falls out and dies just like the real Madeline. Final scene, Jimmy Stewart looking down at her. Good news is he's cured his vertigo. Bad news is he's completely crazy now. Fade to black. And that, my friends, is Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock. One of my favorite movies of all time. Really appreciate all of you that stuck around. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Tomorrow is the Sunday hangout. We're going to be taking Jamie to Blackwater. We shall return to our regularly scheduled Red Dead Redemption 2 content and Marston Mondays. Odog says, not bad and very pleasant. I'm glad you liked it, Odog. I'm really happy to have shared it with you. The Sunday hangout will be at 8 p.m. PST, and then we return on Mondays for Marston Mondays. On Mondays, we Marston. I always get that confused. It's because I'm tired. But thank you so much for being here, friends. We shall do another movie night next Saturday. Let me figure out what it's going to be. Odog says 4 out of 5. That's pretty high praise from you, Odog. I will see all of you tomorrow on Sunday. You have a great night, friends.